Adam was such an amazing child, and like most new parents, we just thought he was so special. And he was a perfectly normal boy till about 6 years old, and then he started losing his vision. We took him all over the nation trying to figure out what was going on with him, and we could not figure it out. And finally, we had some DNA tests done, and we found out that he had juvenile Batten's disease, and that was terminal. Then we just tried to make the most of every day that we had with him.
But, during this whole time, even before he started losing his sight, he had such a heart for children in Africa. We had the African Children's Choir visit us, and he fell in love with them. And he couldn't get over that there was orphans, and, couldn't fathom that they didn't have a mom or a dad. And so from that point on, he really became obsessed with Africa and taking care of orphans in Africa. And he talked about them all the time. He prayed for them at night when he went to bed, that God would keep them warm. And at dinner time, he would pray that God would feed them. And so we always told him that someday we would, someday we're gonna do something in Africa. We're gonna feed orphans. We're gonna take care of orphans, and that someday. But then we got hit with him losing his sight, and then finding out he was terminally ill. It kind of engulfed our world, and we had 2 other babies. When we got his diagnosis, I was 7 months pregnant, and I had a 1-year-old, and so it engulfed our world, and we kind of put Africa on the back burner. But Adam never did. He constantly talked about it and constantly told us that we were going. And so we watched him, this disease watched him, basically each system of his body die off, one system at a time. He lost his sight, then he lost his ability to walk. He was only whispering one word.
And it seemed like that although he was dying off physically, that spiritually he was getting stronger. That was such an amazing thing to watch. And we're so blessed to be the parents of Adam for 15 years. He enriched our lives so much. And it's almost like he had a sense about people, a sense about things in the spirit, if you will. I mean, he would know things. He would say things that hadn't happened yet, and we'd watch them come true. And that has to do with Africa too. This whole project in Africa, I think he was seeing it when he was here, before we even started it.
So I was reading journals from the last 10 years and realized how much Adam had talked about Africa that I had forgotten. So Jeff and I decided that we were going to start something in Africa. Like, why not do this while he's here with us and make him a part of it? Like, I can't believe we put it off this long. So he was sitting in his chair one afternoon, and at that time he couldn't sit up straight. And so we went to him, and Jeff said, Adam, you know how we've always talked about doing something in Africa? And he was only able to whisper, yes, 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 yes. You know how you love the children and you want to take care of the children? Yes, 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 yes. And Jeff said, well, we're not waiting anymore. We're going to start ARK. And we always talked about naming it ARK because that was his initials, Adam Reed Kirby. And so I thought he jerked up and sat up so straight. I thought he was going to stand up, and he yelled out, which he had not been able to do in a very long time, and he clapped, which had been a couple of years. He went, yay, 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 and just yelled. And so it was confirmation, because it was a miracle that what we were seeing, and we just busted out in tears and like, okay, we're starting this.
So the next night, he passed away in his sleep. We almost just didn't realize what happened, but it was the very thing that released him to heaven, was that Mom and Dad finally got it, what we were supposed to do, and that we needed to go forward with ARK. And he was rejoicing because we got it, and it was the thing that released him home. So Terry and I started going over to Africa, and we found a village over there and fell in love with some people and some pastors over there, and just found a need. We found a need with these kids that were starving for attention and affection and food, and we could see that this is a place we could make a difference. And so we chose to pour into this village and to pour into these kids and make an impact and make a difference. And so both Terry and I agreed that this was the place where we needed to start. We've been able to build a kitchen and build a church and build an open air pavilion to get the kids out of the weather and start giving some money to the school system. So when we roll into that village each year, they know us. They know who we are. And their faces are shining where they used to be just desperate. I believe when we roll in there that God opens up the windows of heaven and allows Adam to see what's going on in his name. And yet we feel like we're still just now getting started here to make a difference for these people.
There's just so much more we can do there, and we want this village of these couple hundred kids to know us, to know that we love them, to know that God loves them, and that, you know, their life means something and that they have a chance and a hope.
So although we're doing a great work in Africa, we feel like we want to give back to the special needs community here in the United States. Because when Adam was here and he was special needs, that community was amazing. And they were incredible, how they took care of him and loved him and supported him. And so we want to do our part in giving back locally as well. And so we can't do it by ourselves. We really need people to come along with us and help us in this mission, because I know we can do so much more with people like-hearted and like-minded to make an impact in Africa and maybe eventually all over the world.